Hi there, and welcome to the ultimate guide on how to identify wine flavors in your glass. Whether you're a seasoned sommelier or simply someone who enjoys a good glass of wine, we're about to embark on a sensory journey. Today, I'm going to teach you how to be a wine tasting ninja, sniffing out primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas like a bloodhound. From the fruity to the funky, the buttery to the boozy, we've got it all covered. We'll even delve into the nitty-gritty of terpenes, esters, pyrazines, and phenols. So grab a glass of your favorite grape juice and get ready to become the ultimate wine connoisseur, because by the end of this video, you'll be identifying wine flavors so well that even the grapevines and your dog will be jealous. Wines can be such complex creatures. You can take a sip and suddenly notes of strawberries, roses, and even barbecue meats leap out at you. You start thinking, what the grape is going on? How can a glass of wine taste like a 3-course meal at a Michelin-starred restaurant, all in a single glass? Well, it all starts with the grapes themselves. The primary aromas, which are influenced by a myriad of factors such as grape variety, soils, climate, etc. It's during the fermentation process where the party actually starts. The yeasts and bacteria are like the cool kids at the party, creating new aromas and flavors whilst releasing ones which were previously locked up tighter than Fort Knox. First up is Esther Euphoria, the fruity winemaker extraordinaire. She's got a nose for sniffing out those sweet-smelling esters, the chemical compounds that are responsible for giving wines their fruity goodness. When it comes to grapes, it's a tale of two colors. Dark grapes are like the bad biker boy in a leather jacket, moody, complex, but oh so sexy. They take longer to ripen and open up, but when they do, they bring on the bold flavors and colors. Think red to blue and black fruits, like strawberries, raspberries, cherries, plums, blueberries, and black currants. On the other hand, white grapes are like a box of crayons, offering an extensive range of fruity flavors, from green apples and pears to tangy lemons and grapefruits, all the way through to juicy peaches and nectarines and tropical notes of melons and even pineapples. But sometimes things get even wilder and you suddenly find yourself tasting some red fruit flavors. And you're thinking, is it my imagination? It could be, or it could be due to something called blends. Just like sneaky Esther Euphoria, some winemakers like to mix things up even more, and they blend dark and white grapes together to create a unique flavor profile. Think Champagne, Chateauneuf du Pape, and Northern Rhone Syrahs with a teensy splash of Viognier, as well as newer style rosés from the land of rosés, the south of France. Now hold on to your taste buds, because we're about to enter into the realm of the berry beasts. The magical winemaking process called carbonic maceration turns red wines into ginormous antioxidant powerhouses filled with resveratrol and explosive flavors of bananas and bubblegum. Whilst they may not have the glamour of a Hollywood starlet, they do know how to party in wines such as Beaujolais and Schiava. Thanks to some fancy pants esters such as isoamyl acetate and ethyl butyrate that pop up during the process of fermentation, the berry beast will have you feeling like you're frolicking in a field of juicy berries, but with a touch of sophistication. Now, if you're smelling flowers in your wine, don't worry, it's not some stalker botanist lurking in your glass. It's just those lovely terpenes giving off floral aromas of roses, geraniums, lilies, honeysuckle, and so much more. Fruity hits such as citrus and lychee, all the way through to herbal notes such as mint and thyme. And let's not forget about the rebels of the terpene family, the ones that smell like pepper and petrol. And the best thing about terpene temptations is that they're not exclusive to white wines such as Muscat and Gewürztraminer, but we also find them in an assortment of red wines such as Pinot Noirs and Syrahs. So whether you're a fan of reds or whites, you're in for a fragrant treat. These organic compounds might sound like they belong in some mad scientist's laboratory, but they're actually the secret ingredient behind the spices in your wine. First up, let's talk about Rotundo Rhapsody. He's like the spicy wingman to your wine, bringing on the heat with peppery and spicy notes to wines such as Syrah and Petit Syrah. It's like a pepper party in your glass that's so irresistible that even whites like Gruner Veltliner can't resist. But wait, it's time for Thiol Thrill. These funky, fresh, organic compounds are the reasons why wines like Sauvignon Blancs and Semillons are such floral and fruity powerhouses. Think grapefruit, passion fruit, and boxwood. It's like a fruity salad explosion, but in your mouth. Now, if you're wondering what is boxwood, it's a type of plant that's typically used in landscaping, and I'm only mentioning it because the English boxwood is actually quite notoriously known for smelling like cat pee. And cat pee is actually a thiol that is commonly identified in Sauvignon Blancs from Sancerre. Let's meow to that. Now, don't count out the reds. Parent and child team Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon. Haven't you noticed the same first name? But they're here to join the thiol party. They're part of the same legendary Carmenet family that you simply must check out. So the next time you're sipping on a glass of wine and you come across those spicy notes, don't worry, it's not witchcraft. Now let's move on to mineralogy, or as I'd like to call it, wine's salt bay. Now, some wine connoisseurs simply swear that it's rooted in the soils where the grapes are grown in, whilst others swear that they're a byproduct of the fermentation or aging processes. Whatever the cause, you might detect hints of chalk, salt, slate, iodine, and even wet stones in your glass. And yes, there are vitamins and minerals in wines, but they are such teensy quantities that you can't rely on them to get your dietary intake. No, I'm not daring you, and if you are in fact getting your daily dietary needs from wines, I'll be really concerned. Now, I simply have to introduce you to Pyrazine Pop. He's the life of the party in the wine world. He creates herbaceous and green aromas that will make you feel as if you're taking a stroll through a beautiful, lush garden with a glass in your hand. Think of it like the wine equivalent of a freshly mowed lawn, literally. You've got flavors of green bell peppers, fresh cut grass, mint, and even green olives, which may sound quite bizarre, but trust me, the combination is utterly delicious. And the best part, Pyrazine Pop is not limited to reds such as Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Carmenère. He even pops up in whites such as Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc. And did you know that Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Carmenère are all half siblings? I kid you not. If you'd like to learn about the legendary Carmenet family that has more scandals than Bill Clinton, Adam Levine, and Johnny Depp allegedly have all combined together, I'll leave a link to my video up here. Like a magician revealing their tricks, I'm going to let you in on some winemaking secrets. After the initial fermentation process, it's time to start adding some magic to the wine. And that's where the winemakers become like fairy godmothers, or in this case, fairy wine mothers. What does the wine need? Some vanilla and cream, body, toastiness, bibbidi bobbidi, boo! Different decisions can lead to vastly different results. Some fairy wine mothers swear by minimal intervention, letting the grapes do their own thing and the terroir to shine through. It's like giving nature the microphone and asking it to sing a tune. And the result? Wines with a unique identity that are as individual as your thumbprint or your browser history. On the other hand, you've got wines that are so heavily manipulated, even more than a Tinder profile, to create specific traits that producers think that consumers would simply slurp up. These wines are like the plastic surgery of the wine world. Fake, overdone, and simply unnatural. And no offense to those of you who are fans of plastic surgery, I'm only referring to the wine world. Now, let's talk about the 3 winemaking processes which are responsible for creating these secondary aromas and flavors that simply make your nose and palate dance. These processes are like the Avengers of the wine world, each with their own unique superpowers that contribute to the final product. First up, we have the mighty microbial yeast, or as I'd like to call them, pigmen. They are the hungriest little critters you'll ever meet. They gobble up the sugars in the grape must, aka juice, converting them into ethanol and carbon dioxide. It's like a frat party in there. They keep going until there's no more food or they've had too much booze and they slowly start to drop off like flies. Now, some fairy wine mothers will immediately filter out these dead yeasts, which are known as lees, to prevent any further magical interactions that may alter the flavors of the wine. And others will embrace the lees like it's a long-lost family member, and they get to chill with the wine, creating new textures, aromas, and flavors. Wines are typically left on the lees, or as the French say, sur lie, include Champagne, Chardonnays, and Albarenos. And if you're a fan of seafood, you simply have to try Muscadet, which is made from the Melon de Bourgogne grape variety from the region of Loire, which is like seafood's BFF. And for those of you who like a good brioche, cheese, or biscuit, traditional method sparkling wines are where it's at. If you'd like to learn about what makes sparkling wines sparkle and so much more special, I'll leave a link to my videos up here. So just remember, whilst you may not want to find unidentified floating objects in your wine, those pigmen yeast can really take your taste buds on a wild adventure. Then we have malolactic fermentation, the smooth operator. Malolactic fermentation, or MLF for short, is like the love child between chemistry and winemaking. It's a process that turns the harsh malic acids, think of those tart Granny Smith apples, into smoother lactic acids, making the wine well-rounded and softer. It's like taking a rough diamond and polishing it until it shines bright like a diamond. This process not only helps to stabilize the wine further, but it also extends its shelf life, giving you more time to enjoy the wine before it turns into vinegar. But let's talk about those malic acids a little bit more. They're like the mean girls in high school, all sour and tart, and no one wants to be friends with. In contrast, the lactic acids are like the cool kids in school. They're smooth, chill, and so fun to be around with. They're the ones who bring a guitar to a gathering and everyone just crowds around them to sing along. Now, fresh white wines that are all about showcasing their pure fruit and floral flavors would usually skip MLF. Wines like Riesling, Sauvignon Blancs, Gewürztraminers, and Torrontés want to keep things fresh and fruity. But if you're a fan of Chardonnay, Viognier, or Semillon, you're in luck. These grapes completely dig MLF. With their buttery, creamy flavors, they're like a slice of pie in a glass. And when it comes to red wines, MLF is like a matchmaker that brings two people together and helps them to fall in love. It helps integrate the flavors that develop over time, making them all seem like one big happy family. And whilst MLF doesn't create those creamy, buttery flavors in red wines because they happen after the fermentation process, they do make red wines so much more berrylicious and smoother. And last but not least, we have Toasty Oaky, the suave superhero. And why do winemakers love barrels so much? It's all about the slow and steady exposure to oxygen, a little magic called micro-oxygenation. The porous nature of the barrel allows the wine to slowly and gently get to know the oxygen, resulting in a smoother, more rounded wine. And what else happens when the wine gets comfortable in a barrel? Oh, just a few things. Tannins get tamed, flavors get flirty, and textures get smoother than a baby's bum. Plus, oak has all these delicious flavor compounds: smoke, vanilla, coffee, caramel, toast. It's like the equivalent of adding bacon to anything and everything. It always makes everything better. Now, there are different ways of getting these oaky flavors into the wines, from the cheap and easy through oak extract and powders to the DIY projects, oak chips, cubes, and staves, all the way through to Obi-Wan Kenobi methods, your most expensive barrels. Now it's time to introduce you to the one and only Sulphur Symphony. Now, some people think that sulphur is just a fancy name for a stinky fart, but it's actually a key winemaking ingredient. And before you turn your nose up, let's get things straight. Sulphur is in all wines thanks to the process of fermentation. It helps to prevent your precious wines from going bad and becoming a bacterial cesspool. If you'd like to learn about what causes wines to go bad and how to sniff them out, I'll leave a link to my video up here. And just like a mischievous imp, Sulphur Symphony can leave its mark in your glass with aromas of lit matchsticks and burnt rubber. And rest assured that this odorous orchestra doesn't discriminate based on color. Even the innocent whites and the sparkling wines can get in on the stinky action. The classic phrase, aging like fine wines. It's the ultimate compliment for anyone past the age of 30, and of course for wines. But what does it actually mean? Well, literally, as it says, it's about getting better with age. Just like me, I look a lot better now than when I was in my 20s, right? But that's because I'm just slightly over 30. But anyways, back to wines. So when wines age, they start to develop those fancy tertiary aromas and flavors. It's like the wine has decided to hit the gym and build some serious flavor muscles. And how does it do that? Because obviously wines don't go to the gym. Well, by spending time in a bottle or barrel. Now, when it comes to aging wines in a bottle, we have two options: corks or screw caps. The cork is like the wine's BFF. It's always there to let in some air and keep the wine company. But screw caps have their own perks. They may not let any oxygen in, which means they age a lot more slowly, and they don't mess with the wine's headspace. We know how important personal space is, don't we? A wine that really knows how to age like a champ is Brunello di Montalcino. By law, it has to be aged for a minimum of 4 years before it can hit the shelves. That's even longer than some people's marriages. And as wines age, they go through puberty-like transformation. Primary and secondary aromas and flavors evolve into more mature and sophisticated ones, just like a college student who's finally learned how to do laundry. White wines go from tasting like a fresh fruit salad to resembling a decadent charcuterie board with flavors of honey, marmalade, dried apricots, nectarines, and even candied ginger. White wines gain a newfound love for all things nutty, from hazelnuts, almonds, and walnuts to coffee. But watch out, some of them may even develop a taste for petrol. But don't worry, it's not the kind that you put in your car. Some German and Australian Rieslings, especially those from Clare and Eden Valleys, are known for this particular characteristic. Meanwhile, red wines evolve from their fresh berry flavors to prunes, figs, and even dates. It's like they hit the ripe age of retirement and are finally enjoying the finer things in life. The aging process also creates new aromas and flavors as the wine's molecules interact with oxygen, oak, and or lees. Some flavors and aromas suddenly come out of hiding, whilst others are born through some of these magical interactions. Now, let's embark on a flavor-packed amino acid adventure, aka meaty madness. These organic compounds are the unsung heroes of the savory and meaty aromas in wines. Think soy sauce, mushrooms, barbecue meats, and leather. They're the secret sauce that take aged rids such as Cabernet Sauvignons, Barolos, and Bordeaux to the next level. But don't be fooled, they're not confined to only rids. Even whites such as Chardonnays and Chenin Blancs can punch a mean umami goodness. And here's a little secret. If your wine tastes like it's been spiked with MSG, don't worry, no one did that unless you did. In that case, you're a genius. The real culprit would be these sneaky amino acids working their magic to give you all that savory satisfaction. And let's not forget about nori nirvana, aka dried delights. These norisoprenoids are the main reasons why you get those warm and fuzzy Christmas pudding aromas of sweet spices and dried fruits such as raisins, prunes, figs, and even tobacco. They're typically found in fortified wines such as sherries and ports, but they're also found in fresher wines such as Zinfandels and Mourvèdres. And if you'd like to learn about this amazing fortified wine called sherries, I'll leave a link to my video up here. So there you have it. Wine ages like a college student, gaining sophistication and new interests, but hopefully without the bad hangovers and student loans. And now we come to that age-old dilemma of whether to drink that fancy bottle of wine now or to age it for a decade. Thanks to technological advancements and global warming, grapes are ripening faster and producing riper tannins, resulting in less of that mouth-puckering sensation. It's like when you forget to take out the tea bags from your tea and your mouth ends up feeling like the Sahara Desert. I mean, we all like tannins, but we don't like those kinds of tannins. Fairy wine mothers are also flexing their winemaking skills and producing wines that are more approachable in their youth. The bottom line is this: we're in the age of choice. It's not like the olden days where you had to wait for your wine to mature like the 16-year-old who's dying to get their driving license. Now, it's up to you to decide whether you want to drink that wine when it's fresh-faced and youthful, or wait until it's gotten some wisdom and experience under its cork. So now that you're an expert at identifying wine flavors, go and flaunt your newfound skills at the next dinner party. Just remember that with great wine tasting power comes great responsibility. Don't be a grapist and discriminate against varieties and styles. And if you found this video terpentastic, esterific, and phenomenal, be sure to show me some love by hitting that like button and leaving me a comment or two. Share this video with anyone and everyone who needs to learn how to be a wine tasting ninja. And until next Saturday, here's to amazing health.